Federico Martín Bahamontes is a Spanish former professional road racing cyclist. Born as Alejandro Martín Bahamontes, he is the first cyclist to complete a career triple in winning the King of the Mountains classification in all three He Tours. Biography. Bahamontes was born in Santo Domingo, Córdoba. His family was devastated during the Spanish Civil War, and Bahamontes' father, Julian, took the family to Madrid as refugees. Julian Martin lived by breaking rocks before opening a fruit and vegetable stall. Bahamontes worked as a delivery boy. His hero and eventually his friend was Julian Berendero, winner of the Vuelta a España in 1941 and 1942 and later selector of national teams. He began racing in the late 1940s, winning his first race, wearing a baseball shirt on the 18th of July 1947. It was 12 years to the day before his first Tour de France triumph. He took the mountains jersey and won the first stage of the 1953 Tour of Asturias at 23, while still not a full professional. The Spanish Cycling Federation picked him for the 1954 Tour de France the following year, and his instructions from the national coach was, try to win it. He didn't win, but he did win the mountains competition and finish 25th. Bahamontes was a climbing specialist to whom reporters gave the nickname the Eagle of Toledo. He rode in a distinctive upright style, staring ahead, his shorts pulled high on his thighs, his hands repeatedly changing position on the handlebars. He won the Tour de France in 1959, and won the Tour's King of the Mountains classification 6 times. He also took second and third places overall in 1963 and 1964 respectively. In total, he won 7 Tour stages. He was also second in the 1957 Vuelta a España, and won the mountains competition then and the following year, 1958, when he finished 6th. He also won the mountains competition in the Giro d'Italia in 1956. Bahamontes was not initially considered a contender for in the 1959 Tour de France, but he benefited from an early escape on a stage in the Pyrenees, and then won a mountain time trial to the Puy de Dôme. Into the Alps, he combined with fellow climber Charlie Gall to extend the lead into Grenoble, and although French riders Henri Anglade and Jacques Anquetil cut their deficits, neither made up enough time to threaten Bahamontes' overall lead. He won by just over 4 minutes from Anglade, and became King of the Mountains too. Anquetil was whistled as he finished the Tour on the Parc des Princes because spectators had worked out that he and others had contrived to let Bahamontes rather than the Frenchman Anglade win. The French team was unbalanced by internal rivalries. Anglade was unusual in that he was represented by the agent Roger Peel while the others had Daniel Doucet. The two men controlled all French racing. Doucet worked out that his riders had to beat Bahamontes to make sure that Anglade didn't win. Since they couldn't beat Anglade, they contrived to let Bahamontes win because Bahamontes, a poor rider on the flat and on small circuits, would be no threat to the post-tour criterium fees that made up the bulk of riders' and agents' earnings. In 1960, Bahamontes got no further than the first few days of the Tour. The writer Roger St. Pierre said, "One of the most poignant photographic images in Tour history captured the dejected Spaniard sitting on the platform astride his suitcase, head in hands as he waited for the train to take him back home, having abandoned the race before it even really got going." In 1963 and 1964 Anquetil exacted revenge. In the 1963 Tour de France he beat Bahamontes into second place. Bahamontes and Anquetil performed well in the Alps and on one stage were first and second overall, 3 seconds apart. However, the Spaniard's efforts to retain his mountains leadership rebounded on him. He was unable to break away from Anquetil on the stage to Chamonix, and Anquetil's victory in the time trial sealed his fourth Tour win, with Bahamontes 3:35 behind. Bahamontes insisted he lost the race because of collusion between Anquetil and the Tour organizer, Jacques Goddet. He said, a year later, in the 1964 Tour de France, Anquetil took his fifth victory and the margin over Bahamontes in third was 4:44. Raymond Poulidor took second place. Bahamontes at least had the satisfaction of his sixth King of the Mountains win and 2 more stage wins. Bahamontes' tour in 1965 marked the end of his career. He floundered on the mountains where once he had flown. He finished the day to Bagneres de Bigorre at the foot of the Tourmalet, only just inside the time limit. He tried a colorful attack on the Col du Portet d'Espet next day and then climbed out of the saddle and out of the Tour de France forever. Riding style. Bahamontes was a talented climber but a poor descender, sometimes taking one foot off the pedal to take mountain bends like a speedway rider. He landed in a cactus bush descending the Montserrat as an amateur and thereafter refused to descend mountains alone. Once waiting at the top of a col in the Tour de France for other riders to arrive, he reached the top minutes before a chase group arrived, and famously passed the time eating ice cream by the side of the road. He was also temperamental, throwing his bike down a ravine to stop any pressure to continue riding when he dropped out of the 1956 Tour de France on the Col de Louis Tel. The following year he dropped out again when the retirement of his teammate Miguel Poblet left him without support. He held on to his bike but took off his shoes. Retirement. Bahamontes retired to run a bicycle and motorcycle shop in Toledo. There he receives letters every week, some addressed to F. Bahamontes, Spain, and sometimes to his name and with a picture of an eagle. He is mentioned in the French film Le Fabuleux Destin d'Amélie Poulain, known in English as Amélie. Amélie discovers in her flat a small box of toys and souvenirs, hidden years before by a previous resident. She searches and finds the box's owner, now a middle-aged man, who is reminded by its trinkets of a time in boyhood when he listened by radio to Bahamontes' ride to victory in the 1959 Tour de France. In 2013, during his 85th birthday that coincided with the 100th edition of La Tour de France, he was named the best climber in the history of the race by a prestigious jury selected by L'Equipe magazine. Members of the jury included actual riders, such as the popular French rider Thomas Voeckler, and legends like 5-time winner of the race Bernard Hinault, as well as the general director of La Tour de France Christian Prudhomme. The award was given by the French President François Hollande, honored with Premio National Francisco Fernández Ochoa, Palmares.